micrófono del otro?
¿Quiere el otro mejor?
Sí, mejor.
Vale, pues sí, el otro. No quiere peineta, quiere inalámbrico. Está.
Ponle uno de estos, ponle uno de estos.
¿A quién?
Al señor, pues no sé si...
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos.
Ponle
Supongo que los aplausos no eran para mí.
al señor, pues si quiere escuchar. Ponle este está mejor. Al señor, al Fayerman, sí. Dile que está en español, dile que si lo quiere para escuchar.
Yeah, one second.
Dile. Que si le quiere para escuchar en español. Sí, pero que si quiere para que él lo escuche en inglés. No, pero para ustedes que les traduce el español, ¿qué no? ¿El señor?
Cuando alguien habla en español, nosotros...
Ok, perfecto. Ok, de acuerdo. Vale, por favor. Cualquier cosa me avisa. Pues esperamos a ver que ahí ponte un ladito por si se puede hacer cualquier cosa. Adelante. Sí, no, pero dale eso, no le hace. Aquí todos los traductores a un lado, aquí me gritan acá. Cómpraselo, Alex. Sí, porque no, pues ya no hay cómo se escucha. Pero si los quiere, me quise para esos audífonos, estos están padres. Mi papel, está los mocos.
Ok, vamos a empezar de nuevo. Buenas tardes a todos. Antes de dar comienzo a este importante evento, me gustaría presentarles a las personalidades que amablemente nos acompañan. Primeramente tenemos a nuestro vicepresidente de operaciones, a quien muchos de ustedes ya conocen, Mr. David Boer. Tenemos también el honor de contar con la presencia del fundador de la empresa Baldwin y su distinguida esposa, Mrs. Tony and Mr. Severin Fayerman. Asimismo, contamos con dos invitadas especiales quienes han tenido interés en venir a conocer nuestras instalaciones en Nogales. Demos la bienvenida también a Natalie y Kathy Brown. El día de hoy debemos sentirnos muy orgullosos por la visita de los esposos Fayerman. Severin, como la mayoría de ustedes ya lo saben en estos momentos, es un sobreviviente de los campos de concentración de la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Y después de arribar él y su familia a Estados Unidos de América, compran la compañía Baldwin Diane II por la cantidad de $20,000, convirtiéndola a través de muchos años de creación, trabajo e innovación en la compañía de herrajes de lujo y de alta calidad más importante en todo el mundo. Esta planta en Nogales, México, está recibiendo el legado de Severin al haber transferido la producción de Baldwin desde Reading, Pensilvania, durante los últimos 2 años. Transferencia extremadamente difícil que costó mucho trabajo y dedicación de parte de todos ustedes, pero que finalmente nos ha permitido crecer nuestra operación en un 100%. Ha creado más empleos, ha traído tecnología que de otra manera no hubiera sido posible. Quiero, a nombre de la planta Nogales, garantizarle a Severin que su legado está en buenas manos. La filosofía de Spectrum Brands es ser buenos guardianes de grandes marcas. Y no solo lo cumpliremos, sino que nos hemos comprometido a hacer crecer aún más este negocio. Esperamos sinceramente que su visita, Severin, le haya traído confianza en nuestras capacidades. En esta gran ocasión, Mr. Fayerman ha accedido a compartir con todos nosotros su historia, por lo que me gustaría en este momento cederle la palabra. Con ustedes, Mr. Severin Fayerman.
Gracias. Muchísimas gracias. Por nuestros amigos mexicanos, quiero pedir una discusión, porque no hablo español suficientemente para continuar mi disertación en español, por ello debo hablar en inglés. Disculpe el demanda perdón. Gracias. I did want to show you how much I love Spanish language. I hope that I could do it in Spanish. Unfortunately, it's not so. Well, let me tell you how delighted I am today to come to see this operation. You know, when the plant was closed in Reading, I was very sad. This was my baby. This is something I started from scratch, and seeing being disappearing was a great disappointment. But when I came here to Nogales, Sonora, and saw what you have created, I was just amazed and over-delighted. You have created a better Baldwin that I have built, and you ought to be extremely proud of this. My success of my company was that I always strive for perfection. My history, you ought to know, is very kind of interesting. I was born in Poland right after the end of World War I in a new country called Poland. When I went to the high school, I eventually joined the Polish army during the war, and unfortunately, Polish army was not able to defend itself from the Germans, and we surrendered. When I came home, I come from a family of blacksmith, and my grandfather started a manufacturing operation. I couldn't go back to school, as schools were all closed for Poles, and then I was asked my father if he would let me work in his factory. I was smart enough and lucky enough to ask my father to work for my grandfather, who was a blacksmith, and he taught me blacksmithing. After I finished that, he told me how to make tools, because tools is, as you know, the most important part of every manufacturing operation. Eventually, Hitler has incorporated this part of Poland back into Germany, and we as Poles lost all our rights and were no longer able to and allowed to operate the factory as we did before. A German supervisor came in, and after a while he learned how to operate the business, and we felt that he wants to get rid of us. An opportunity came for him. Hitler expelled all the Jews in the city in which we lived, and there was a substantial percentage, so the city was nearly empty. In the meantime, America entered the war and destroyed many cities in the western part of Germany, and then Hitler resettled these people in our part of the country. However, they needed workers to clean the houses and make them appropriately clean and proper for the Germans to occupy. They then arrested people at random, and one day somebody came to our house early in the morning and arrested my whole family, my father, my mother, and my uncle. We lived together, and took us to a camp. We worked in a camp for a number of months, and eventually we finished cleaning the houses. And then the Germans moved us to another camp, unfortunately Auschwitz, one of the worst camps in Germany. When I was in Auschwitz, Siemens Electric Company came looking for tool makers. I applied, and I went through examination, and eventually was taken out of Auschwitz and taken to a factory where I worked throughout the war. when the Russians approached the camp, I was moved to another camp and eventually landed up in the headquarters of Siemens in Berlin. Eventually, the Russians approached Berlin, and again, the Germans moved us away. Eventually, they marched us all the way north toward the North Sea. In the meantime, the American army was rushing along the northern border of the North Sea, and they intercepted our march, and I was liberated by the American army. I speak a number of languages, so I went to the authorities and asked if they can use me as an interpreter. I worked for United Nations for a period of time, and then I remember that when I went to prison, my father told me that if we survive, we should all gather in Salzburg, which is a city in Austria. I went to Salzburg and found that my whole family was there waiting for me. They all survived the war. At that time, we couldn't go back to Poland because the Polish communist government has nationalized the business, and we were no longer allowed to operate it. So we applied to come to America. Fortunately, we were accepted, and in end of 1945, we arrived to the city of New York. As we came to New York, we had no money, we had no papers. So the immigration people came on board and gave each one of us a piece of paper in lieu of passport, $20, and they say, welcome to your new country. So with $80, my family landed in the city of New York. We all, within a week, found jobs and continued our life in America. In the spring, actually fall of 1946, my father turned to me one day after dinner and said, Severin, this is a wonderful country. We should start our business over again. Why don't you quit what you're doing and see if you can find a company to buy? I obeyed my father and started looking at various advertisements in the newspaper. And then I found the name Baldwin Tool and Die for sale in Newark, New Jersey. I went to see the owner, who was of German descent, spoke very bad English, mainly German, and we made a deal. He wanted $20,000. Excuse me. We didn't have $20,000. All we had at this time we were able to accumulate was $6,000. So we told him, we'll give you $5,000 as a deposit, and each month we'll pay a small amount until it's all paid off. So January 2nd, 1946, we opened the doors. We opened it as $1,000. I would say the rest of my story is really a story of American dream. This company we built up to a nationally, internationally renowned company, and now, of course, the beautiful part of it is that it continues its time in Mexico. How did I achieve this? I achieved it by always sticking to quality. I never wanted to be the largest company in the world. I want to be the best. And that's what you should be striving for. I build the reputation of my company on quality. Baldwin was known for quality. And that's what we made. We made quality products. And you should never, never forget it, as this is the most important thing. This is how Baldwin became renowned all over the world. Well, to begin with, as we started the business, we only making tools. But we realized there is not enough money in the tool making. So we decided to look for a line of products. In Poland, we made hardware. So I started looking at hardware businesses. And eventually we decided of starting making a letterbox plate. Still, if you open the Baldwin catalog, usually the first item is a letterbox plate. We were very successful with the product, and one things beget the other product. Each time I went to see my customers, I asked them, what do you want? And if there's something we could make, we accepted it and we added it to our line. However, the opportunity in business comes only if you know how to take advantage of it. My truly turning point in the success of Baldwin occurred kind of a very unusual way. I used to go to New York to get more orders from my customers. The business was in Newark, right across the river. And every time I went, asking, what else do you need? And one of my customers told me, I need chain door guards. It's something used for security, and in New York, it's very popular, and we can get enough of them. So he gave me a sample, and I took it to my family to look at, and we realized that this is a casting with something we're not able to do. However, we found a foundry that was able to make castings for us, and we made this chain door fastener as a casting. And I remember the day. It was a hot July day. I was working in a factory. I was making the product. I was grinding and polishing. And as I finished the lunch, I would go on to have the lunch, I looked at my hands, and they were all green from the breast. That of course, absolutely, I was sweating, and apparently it got my hands all green. I washed my green hands, and I think, it must be a better way of making a living. I've got to find a better direction. So as I was eating my lunch, I sat with my uncle, and we said, maybe we could make it out of a different material. So we sat on it, looked at it, and eventually decided to make it out of the extruded brass, which was easier to finish. It was a very different design. It was not exactly as the sample that my customer gave me, but it was much, much easier to finish. Well, I made a handmade sample and see if I can sell it. Went to New York, saw my customer, and tell me, I have a new product for you. Show me. So I showed him, and he looked at it. He says, how much? Well, I was afraid to ask the full price, so I gave him a lower price. He said, I'll give you an order for 2 gross. I've realized I made a mistake. I should have asked more money. However, next customer, I increased my price. By the time I went home, it was the regular price. And really, this, believe it or not, was a turning point in our business. It was very inexpensive to make, very simple, and it was very profitable. We began to make money. Until now, 90% of chain door guards that you see in the world are really copies of the original chain door guard that I and my uncle designed. One item brought another item, and slowly we kept on increasing our business. Eventually, we all gotten into start making gift items like candlesticks and candelabras, and our business continued to grow as we kept on adding always new products. One of my visits to my customers, I saw a rim lock. A rim lock, something you make in here too, is a big, beautiful decorative lock, which is made of cast brass. With many of our engineering inventions and ideas, we converted it into a forging, and that became a great, great success for us. One thing beget the other. When you make a good product, people recognize it, and people come to you with ideas. They tell you, this is so beautiful. Can you do this? Can you do that? And I always told you, we never said no to new ideas. We always accepted new ideas. We always felt that there's something new, different we can do. We're going to continue doing it. One day, one of the architects in Ohio told us that he needs a big orders for rim locks for a school edition. We presented the locks, which were accepted, but they were extremely expensive, and the board of school board could not accept it. So the architect asked us, if you can you make a mortise lock? And again, we never said no. We said, yes, we can do it. And then we made a mortise lock, which we accepted and specified on that job, and that was the beginning of our lock making. So what I am trying to tell you and prove to it, that as you expand and new items come to you, new ideas come to you, and new product manufacturing comes on. I am very, very much impressed with your operation here in Mexico. I see the innovations. I admire your cleanliness. I admire the way you make the product and that you maintain the quality. I assure you that if you continue maintaining quality, this will always be a great success. And really speaking, now there is a new opportunity. As I see that the factory is now located in Nogales, well, you have now the Mexican, so to say, market as well. Before, we were located in America, and most of our sales were mainly in the United States and some of Canada. Now, of course, you've got an open market of Mexico as well. I also feel that it is a great future for your country to develop manufacturing operations. As you know, from manufacturing, there's better jobs, better income, better future of the country. It diversifies Mexico, it makes you stronger and financially much more stable. So I see nothing but an unbelievable future for you. So I am so pleased that I've been part of this operation. I'm so delighted that I was able to see my company growing into a newer and larger operation, which I admire very much. And really, as I'm getting to the end of my life, I know that I can peacefully go upstairs thinking that, well, the life is going to be still continue. Ball will continue to exist. So thank you so much for your attention, and I wish you a lot of luck. Buen suerte. Gracias. Took solamente 15 minutos, pero no, no es más. Muchísimas gracias.
Bueno, de nuevo agradecerle al señor Mr. Fayerman con su visita, tener el honor de conocerlo, de que esté aquí con todos ustedes, el compromiso, como mencionó José, de que su legado está en nuestras manos y continuará en nuestras manos. Todos y cada uno de nosotros haremos lo mejor, ¿verdad?, para que siga aquí con nosotros. ¿Sí o no? Sí. Muy bien. De nuevo, gracias por compartir su vida y traer a sus visitas con nosotros también. Orgullosos también los de Nogales por mostrar el producto, la planta. ¿Sí o no? Sí. Bueno. Ahorita vamos a dar unos minutos para si alguien quisiera hacer alguna pregunta, compartir, hacer algún comentario. Siéntanse con la libertad de hacerlo y él está disponible para seguir compartiendo con nosotros. ¿Alguien? ¿Compañeros? ¿Sí? ¿Le pueden dar un micrófono a Juan Ojeda, por favor? Al joven que está allá.
¿Qué?
What's the question?
Uno, dos, tres.
Parece que ya se oye entonces.
Ese. Mande.
Ya escucha.
¿Ya escucha?
Sí, lo escuchas.
No son problemas técnicos, muchachos.
Buenas tardes, Mr. Fayerman. Ahora sí, ya está. La pregunta que tengo para usted, señor Fayerman, es: durante la plática mencionó que en su vida tuvo gran cantidad de oportunidades y que eso le permitió seguir avanzando. En este caso, mi pregunta sería, ¿cuál considera usted que sería la mayor oportunidad que tiene el negocio para continuar creciendo?
Can you translate this?
¿Cuál sería, basado en lo que usted comentó de las oportunidades, cuál sería la mayor oportunidad que considera que nosotros?
Sí.
Mr. Fireman.
Sí.
Mr. Fireman.
Yes.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is that you mentioned that there was a lot of opportunities during your life, and you took advantage of those to keep growing the company.
Yes.
So, in your opinion, at this moment, what would be the best or the highest opportunity that you see to continue growing as a brand?
Great. Good question. I believe that the great opportunity that you're going to have, because the factory is now in Mexico, you have a new look at it. You can put a different picture of it. Because, you know, in United States, we have been, so to say, maize, we have been in making the same product all the time. Now here, I consider Mexican products and Mexican ingenuity and artistry to be superb. So I think what I would like for you to do is to use the Mexican ideas, Mexican colors, Mexican designs, and incorporate them, because they are more modern, and I think they will have a greater acceptance than the old colonial and steady things we used to make. So I think your opportunity here is to come up with new ideas, new thoughts, and based on Mexican designs, which I think are outstanding. And so this is where I see the new opportunity coming in, because of the background, because I always admired Mexican art and Mexican culture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fay.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Algún otro comentario?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Buenas tardes. Sabemos que durante la guerra pasó por muchas cosas, por muchos problemas. Obviamente eso no fue un obstáculo para que Baldwin saliera adelante. ¿Cuál consideraría usted que es el mayor obstáculo que enfrentó para sacar Baldwin adelante y cómo lo superó? No.
Very good question. My greatest difficulty was fighting the competition. I had great difficulty getting my product established. My name wasn't known. Nobody knew what Baldwin is. And it took me a long time to convince my customers of the quality. I've done this because of the quality of the product and by introducing forgings. Forgings were really made Baldwin what it is today and its reputation it has. We introduced forgings to the hardware industry. We're the first company in the United States to bring forgings to the production. And eventually people saw the quality and the price that I can make it for. They've realized its advantage. It took me a number of years. The success doesn't come immediately. I would say it took me at least 10, 15 years before people began to accept the line and begin to stock it. And this was my greatest difficulty, competing with my competitors. But I want you to know that when we started the business, there were about 35 competitors. When I sold my business in 1980s, there were 3 remaining. All of those went by because we were making castings and they didn't stick to quality. So it takes time. It simply takes time to be accepted. However, you have the great advantage of it that Baldwin is a known name, that people know of Baldwin. You don't have to start from the very beginning. All you have to say, it's Baldwin, and people say, we know it's quality. And I think this is what you need to build on. You don't have to fear of the things I had to go through because it's already an established company. Thank you.
¿Otra pregunta? Daniela.
Aquí tiene.
Gracias. Hi, Mr. Fayerman. Like my workmate said, you have many challenges. What is the advice that you give us personally to achieve our goals in life and at work?
What advice you would give them to achieve your personal goals in life?
Well, hard work. That's the only thing I know. I want you to know I work 12, 18 hours a day. Hard work is the only thing that you can do it. I never give up. I have been an optimist. I always believed in success. I never gave up, just in the concentration camps, and also I came to America. I just never gave up. I always had hope, and I always said, I believe in good things. There isn't a bad day. To me, every day is a beautiful day. I don't accept negatives. I don't accept that saying business is bad. Doesn't exist. Business is always good. And if it's difficult, well, you have to work a little harder to get it. So I would say hard work and sticking to what you believe and not giving up and your hopes. Okay? Thank you.
Uno, dos.
Buenas tardes. Lo que quiero saber es, cuando usted supo que su producto Baldwin estaba en México, ¿qué pensó en ese momento? Y ahora que nos conoce, si cambió su manera de pensar, si cumplimos sus expectativas.
I understood. Comprendo. Entiendo. También. I really believe that here, after what I saw in here, I am so unbelievably impressed. I want you to know, I really think you have a better Baldwin. This is Baldwin 2, I said. This is wonderful. Your company is more modern, more efficient, and better run than my company was. I think you've got an unbelievable opportunity. I really think that you are going to become most famous here and all over the world because of the quality you're maintaining. Anybody that has been invited to your plant and goes through the operation has got to be impressed. There's nothing like it. I assure you, I've been in the manufacturing all my life. I have not seen a plant as well run, as well managed, and the product made still at a very high quality. I think you have nothing to fear, just success. Okay? Es verdad.
¿Otra pregunta? Párate, Francisco.
Marcando diferencia. Good afternoon, Mr. Fayerman. A simple question. I would like to know which is your favorite finish and which one is difficult to create.
Very simple. 030. Polished brass is my finish. It's elegant, it's beautiful. You can see yourself in it in another beautiful finish. And it's ageless. And now with the lifetime finish that you have, it's unbeatable. And I think that's what we always were known for. Baldwin was known, and as a matter of fact, a lot of people called us Baldwin Brass. That's the name everybody knew us. Not as Baldwin hardware manufacturing, but Baldwin Brass. That's my favorite finish. It's elegant. It will never, never lose its elegance. Other people couldn't make US3. Why use oops? Why you see antique finishes? Because they couldn't do 030, which you can. Most of them make antique finishes. It's easy to do. That's why. Guess we ran out of questions. Well, it's time. It's time. Tiempo. We said half an hour, right? Perfecto.
¿No hay más preguntas?
Bueno, de nuevo agradecerle en nombre de todo Nogales, de toda la planta, el honor de que esté aquí. Muchas gracias por su tiempo, por su lesión de vida, por todo. Ahorita les vamos a indicar cómo vamos a salir de manera ordenada y segura para no tener ningún contratiempo. La primera fila van a salir hacia ese lado de uno en uno, ordenadamente. Esta fila y la del medio se van a quedar sentados hasta que las filas de las orillas puedan salir. Las filas de allá van a salir por la parte de enfrente, de la mitad hacia enfrente, por la parte de enfrente y la mitad hacia atrás, por la orilla donde está ese zipper. Por favor, les pido que salgan de fila en fila ordenadamente y estas van a salir de la misma manera una vez que hayan salido las de los lados. Le voy a pedir al staff y a las visitas que se mantengan aquí y al equipo de recursos, por favor. Y a todos, muchas gracias por estar aquí y ya saben que tenemos un reto bien importante.